Hey Chicas! Welcome to Coding for Chicks! Today we're going to learn something extremely important, and that's called a function. You may remember learning about functions back in school when you were learning math. If you do remember, try to put that into the context that's going to come now with the Python. It's going to help you a lot. For a quick refresher, let's just write a simple mathematical function. So the function is going to take x as an input, and it's going to do something with that x, which is multiplied by 2 right here, so 2 times x. And then the output is going to be the number you put in multiplied by 2. So if you put in 2, you're going to get, arithmetic error, no, 4. If you put in 3, you're going to get 6. If you put in 4, you're going to get, what you're going to get? You're going to get, what? 8. Yes. Okay, so we remember this now, but how would we write the equivalent in Python? So when you define a function, you start with writing def for defining, and then the name of the function, in this case f, and then the input, what we're going to send into the function. And we're just going to continue with the x we just used. And as always, we're going to use the colon. And now, what are we going to do? Let's just print out the x multiplied by 2. So I'm going to write 2 times x. Now this function here is just like the one here. It's not doing anything until you execute it. So the next thing we do is try some execution. Not in a bad way. So f, and we're going to send in 2. Now I'm executing my f function with 2 as an input. Before I do that, I would like to get rid of this text here. But I would kind of like to keep it there, just for a reference. So what I'm going to do is use something called a comment. This is something I will talk about better in my next lecture. But for now, just imagine that my shell doesn't see it. It's invisible to the shell. We can see it, but the shell can't. Now let's run this function in the shell. 4, exactly. Now you don't always have to have an input when you're creating a function. So let's say we just want to have a function that prints out something wonderful. So we define our pony function and we let it print out pony, of course. And when we want to use that function, we just write pony, parenthesis, and here we go. Pony. Inside of functions, you can do whatever you like. You can put for loops, you can put if statements, you can do all sorts of calculations and things. And you really should use functions in your code. It's the right way to do things. What we have done so far is a more easy, maybe, way to learn. But from here on, we're going to be using functions. So let's, for example, say we change our pony function to a function that's going to print out ponies for a number of times. So we're going to say number of ponies. Here, now we need an input. And for I in range, number of ponies, print pony. And a 5er. Functions aren't only limited to printing out values, they can also return the outcome of their calculations back to you, so you can choose what you want to do. And this is actually a very useful thing about them. Shall we take a look? Let's say we were creating a calculator, and we would want a function that does summation. And we wanted to take in 2 numbers, so number 1 and number 2. And then we want to get the outcome. And we say return number 1 plus number 2. Now this function is going to take our input and return the sum of those numbers we entered. Let's say we wanted to use this function. So we go summation 1, comma 2. Be careful with the comma. It's tempting to put a plus here, isn't it? But every time you send more than one input into your functions, you have to have a comma in between. Just as here, it has to be here. This is my friend. I want to be just like you. Yes, just like him, yes. Now you might think that if I run this, I'm going to print out the summation of 1 and 2. Let's try. Where did it go? The reason is we're only returning the value here. The function doesn't know what you want to do with it. You want to print it out? It doesn't know. It's like, I don't know. Here you go. It's your value. You asked for it. But I'm in a printing mood. So I'm going to print it out. And I'm going to do it like this. Print. Voila. Here we go. 1 plus 2 is apparently 3. Did you know that? I totally thought it was 4. Okay, so we're back where we started. We created a function, it has a return, but we're still just printing out the value. So what are we gonna do with this that's more important than printing? We can put the output, wait for it, into, wait for it, a variable. Okay, I'm creating a variable. I'm doing it, really, I am. Equals, it's my variable, and the function, summation. And I'm gonna do a different number now because, I want to learn more calculations. And yes. And for the grand finale, we're going to do something completely out of this world. We're going to print equals out. Yes, we are. Key 9. But in reality, we don't only use functions to A, print out things, B, return an output that we later print out, C, return an output that we put into a variable, and then print out. Really, we don't only do that, I promise. The most important thing right now is that you learn how to use your functions. Yes, so try creating one that doesn't have an input variable, also known as a parameter. And try to create one that does have 1 or 2 or maybe 3. But remember, if you're going to add a variable right here, an input variable, you need to put it here as well, because this one wants to be the same as this one. So for this one to run, we need to put something here, 3, for example. So that's your assignment before next episode. Create, for example, 10 functions that do different kind of things. Try to put in some for loops or if statements or something like that, and try to print and try to return. Just see how it all works. That's all I have for you today. If you like my video, please leave me a like. If you would like to know when my next video is out, please subscribe to my channel. I also love your comments, and especially everything positive to me or the other students. Be polite, be kind, and try to make a good community here on this channel. This is what I'm aiming for. So until next time, thank you for listening. This is Coding for Chicks.